Good day, and thank you for tuning in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. For all of our new listeners and viewers who are tuning in for the very first time, I'm Pastor Pope, and thank you for allowing us to come into your viewing environment. We are here with you every Monday through Friday from 12:30 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, broadcasting live from the FijiWater.com sponsored studio, where you can discuss careers, finances, entrepreneurship. You can discuss marriage, divorce, raising children, blending families. You can discuss dating and relationships, whatever's in your heart, whatever's on your mind. God is concerned about that which concerns you. And that is the reason that we are here in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast, which is brought to you daily by Fiji Water, Earth's finest water. You may already know that Fiji water comes from Fiji. However, did you know that it is created by nature? It is untouched by man. It starts as a tropical rainfall which slowly filters through layers of volcanic rock, where the water collects in a natural, sustainable artesian aquifer, where it is bottled right at the source, free from human contact until you unscrew the blue cap. Fiji Water, Earth's finest water, will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery. And you'll save money at FijiWater.com. This is not just ordinary water. This is Earth's finest water at FijiWater.com. And as you know, we are broadcasting live from the FijiWater.com sponsored studio on Facebook, on YouTube at Daily Divine Direction. And now we are live 24 hours a day. We play music on our internet radio station, WKAP Faith Empowerment Radio at WKAPfaith.com, where we play music 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, so that we can stay connected with you to ensure that you are encouraged, empowered, and inspired 24/7, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So stay tuned in. You're going to see some new things are going to be happening as we go through this quarter and as we go into the new year. I'm already excited about what God is doing and what he's already done and what he continues to do. So I want to encourage everyone, stay tuned in. You don't want to miss this. We're going to have an opportunity to add some people in on the screen so that others can be participating in the broadcast also. So it's an exciting time right here in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast, and it's an exciting time on our internet radio station, WKAPfaith.com. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I want to say to all of our listeners and viewers, we have been on the air this month for 5 years. This is the month of our fifth anniversary of live streaming Daily Divine Direction, and of course our Sunday sermon at New Life Christian Center, 400 Hillcrest Avenue, Wilmington, Delaware, 19809. And we are thankful for all of the growth that we've experienced. So many people tuning in every day, Monday through Friday, and then of course on Sunday. We are so thankful to be able to reach the masses of you. Tens of thousands of people have been tuning in on all of our various platforms, and we're thankful for that because we want to make certain that everyone has a place to go to hear from God. And I know people say, well, Pastor, you're on the air 6 days a week. Well, I got to tell you, it's a blessing to be on the air 6 days a week. And I know many of you have asked if we could expand the broadcast to go longer. You've asked for a lot of different things, and that's exciting because we know you're connected. We haven't done any of those as of yet. That's your request. We've just been trying to get everything in order, everything in our platform straight. But we're going to be continuing to move forward, continuing to do some different things. So I'm excited. I want you to stay with us, stay connected. Don't ever think that we're not going to continue moving forward, because we will. And we will be adding some additional components. So stay tuned so that you can participate. I'm going to go back to where we were this week, which is addressing all of these communications that have come in. And I have to share with all of you that because we've been addressing these single issues, a lot more have come in. And I'm going to, I know some of you want to know, want to talk about business. You want to talk about entrepreneurship. You want to talk about going into business. We'll get to those also. But we're just trying to get these questions about relationships out of the way because there's been so many of them, and I understand that relationships are a difficult thing to navigate. They are difficult because you have two people who come into a relationship. They all bring their own life experiences, and everyone's trying to navigate that, and that's the reason so many of you have been communicating about relationships. And in addition to that, it's that time of year. So the fourth quarter of the year, because of the holidays and the holiday experiences of spending time with family and getting all of the questions about relationships, or, when are you going to get married? If you're married, when are you going to have children? All of those questions that you get from family. But the reality is, your family loves you. They just want the best for you. And hopefully we all should want that the best for our families. So consequently, you're going to get some of those questions. So naturally, this time of year, people start thinking about those things more frequently. So I'm just going to address a communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that you are divorced with 3 children, and you say you're finding it difficult to date. And you said men do not want to take on the responsibility of a woman who has children and then become a stepfather. So there's a couple of things going on here, and I'm going to take my time and address this because I think you misunderstand the issue. It's okay. There are going to be men who are not interested in dating a woman with children. There are going to be men who just aren't interested in dating a particular woman because she's not compatible. It does take a certain type of man to be able to be in a relationship with someone who already has children. It will take a certain type of man, and I'm going to tell you what that looks like. It looks like someone who's not willing to, who's not concerned about the responsibility of helping to raise children. It's going to take someone who is willing to step up and assist in raising the children. It's also going to take someone who is willing to lead a family when they come into a family that's already been prepared. The problem is not the man wanting to step up. The problem sometimes is a man not willing to step down. See, the problem is when people label someone as a stepfather, what they're saying is, in most cases, they don't understand. They're saying, I want you to help me raise my children, but I want you to take a step down. I want you to be the secondary parent as opposed to being a parent. So one of the things I encourage all men to do who enter into a relationship with someone who already has a child is, first and foremost, stop calling them stepchildren. They're your children. The moment you marry a woman who has children, you become the father. It doesn't matter if their father's alive. It doesn't matter if he's present. It doesn't matter. They just get a bonus parent. As long as the biological father is present, they get a bonus parent because now they have 3 parents. But I encourage men, you don't take on the role of stepfather. You take on the role of being a father. Now, the children may call you whatever they want to call you, but that's neither here nor there. For men, you have to say, this is my child, I'm going to raise them. Because it'd be no different if you adopted a child from an orphanage. They may not have your blood, but now they have your life. So the issue isn't the man. The issue is you being willing to allow someone, another man, to help you raise your children. You have to be willing as the mother to say, okay, I'm going to step aside. And what that means is you're not taking a step down, he's not taking a step down. You're stepping You're stepping aside to walk side by side with your new husband. And together you're going to love your children, nurture your children, and you're going to develop them, love them, nurture them, and raise them together. The problem isn't generally the man when men are willing to date or marry a woman that has children. The problem generally isn't the man. If he's willing to do that, it's not him. The problem is you've got to be willing to let go. And here's the other issue. Often, women will say when they already have children, my children come first. Your children can't come first. Your husband has to come first. And the two of you have to raise your children together. You have to be, if he's willing to love your children and you're willing to allow him to love your children, then it still has to be the order of God, the pecking order. Husband, wife, you love your children together. He has to be willing to lead. He has to be willing to give vision for the family. He has to be willing to step up, not step down. And you have to be willing to encourage him to step up and not step down. So often what happens is that because the woman's been loving her children by herself for so long, she can't let go of loving them for someone else to love them. And sometimes that's because of the baggage of, will it last? Am I going to have to be doing this over again if the relationship doesn't last or the marriage doesn't last? You can't go into it with that mindset. You have to understand that if a man's willing to love you and marry you when you already have children, you have to be willing to allow him to love your children, develop your children, nurture your children, raise your children also. It's not that complicated. We make things more complicated than they really have to be. And when a man's willing to do that, when he's willing to step up, you got to allow him. You can't interfere. You can't try to make decisions that he's making for the children and the family. You've got to walk together in agreement. Okay, this is what we're going to do. It really is no different. You're just blending the family together. But you blend smoothies. You blend other things. You blend, vegetables together in a smoothie. We blend things all the time. We have the ability to blend our lives together. Even if you didn't have 3 children, you two would still have to blend your lives together. The problem is that you want to date someone who is going to accept your children, marry you, and father your children. But then you don't want to let it go and let them do that. So men can sense that. Men can sense, is that something I'm going to be able to overcome? Is it going to be difficult? Is it going, there are all kinds of dynamics. You're divorced now, and your ex-husband is a father to your children. It's not perfect because you're not all together in the same household, but he's remarried, you're not. He's still trying to be active in his children's lives and have a relationship with them, but that doesn't stop you from having someone else, a bonus father for your children. Your children would be blessed. Now you say it's difficult to find someone to date. I'm not implying that it's going to be easy. You said it's finding it difficult to date, not that it's difficult for someone to step up. So you got to recognize that you got to give the man the opportunity. And, when you tell them, listen, I have 3 children, ages whatever, and this is my life. I'd like to give you the opportunity to be included in my life, but it's going to take the right man. It's going to take a man who's willing to not step down but step up. And a man who's willing to say, okay, I didn't have to be there. I wish I had been, but I don't have to be there the moment you were born. But I'm in your life now to stay. And that's the right man. Anybody else that tries to date you that's not interested in doing that, he's the wrong man for you anyway. So you got to realize you're really not finding it difficult to date. You're just finding it difficult to find the right man to date. The problem is you don't need to be looking for him. He'll find you. When you tell him about your children and you tell him about your life, if he looks like he's rejoicing over that, if he looks like he is confident about where your life is going, and he tells you he's got a plan, you start dating and he tells you you've got a plan, then you're good to go. And no matter what the dynamics are with your children, all things work together for the good for those who love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. So make sure you find a godly man. Make sure you find someone who loves the Lord, or that he's on his way to finding the Lord. Because if he cannot seek God first, he can't seek a life for you and your children. And together, hopefully, God has someone for you also. He's appointed someone for all of our lives. Now, unfortunately, your marriage didn't last. But your story's not complete. It hasn't been fully written yet. Stay the course. Allow the person that God has appointed for your life to find you. Because he that finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor of the Lord. That's just the bottom line. And the reason I know that's the bottom line is because that's the word of God, and it never fails. This segment of the broadcast has been brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. So if you are not currently a T-Mobile customer, you may call or text on the T-Mobile call or text line at 267-992-1424. We will move you into our queue so that you may become a T-Mobile customer and experience America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. So I'm going to address I think I mentioned taxes and fees are included in your bill. And if you auto pay by attaching a credit card to your account, you will receive a discount on your monthly bill. At T-Mobile, America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. I'm going to address another communication. I didn't want to get ahead of myself. That came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that you are a single woman and you want a man who is making enough money to so that you can stay at home and not have to work. Okay. You said, however, every man you meet is not making enough money for you to do that. Okay. Then here's the problem. You have decided that you want to get married and stay at home. And actually in your communication, you didn't even say that you wanted to get married. You just said you want a man who's making enough money so that you can stay at home. So the question would be then, are you just interested in being kept at home by a man? And you say that you are 29 years of age in your communication. Here's the issue. You don't want to have to work. So that implies that you want someone who's making enough money for you to stay home. The question is, do you want to be married and stay at home? And if you're going to be married and stay at home, are you going to be married and have children and stay at home? And what's that going to look like for you? And how long are you going to stay at home? You have been working now since you graduated from college. So with a college degree, you've been working and you're 29, which means you've been dating, but your dating life hasn't been successful. you're meeting other men who are on your level, who college degrees, working in their careers. If that's the life you want, you've got to work for that life. You can't just expect it to happen by osmosis. You can't, look, if you and your husband decided that if you get married, let me just break it down a little further. If you get married and 10 years from now, when you've had, well, you're 29 now, so let's say 7 years from now, when you're 36, you're married and you and your husband have been working and putting money aside and investing, and you've been building a life together, and you decide you want to have children. And then you want to stay home with your children until they're able to go to preschool or even maybe kindergarten, K through 5. You got to recognize that you have to have enough money to be able to do that. And you're not meeting men who are making that kind of money. You're not even positioning yourself to meet men to make that kind of money, who make that kind of money. And then if he does, he's not going to want you to be a liability. So you have to understand what you're really asking for. You've fallen into the societal thought process of being the bag lady. Now let me tell you what that means. I'm trying to catch someone who can buy me a bag. You've got to recognize how important it is to build something together. You don't want to be the bag lady. And what I mean by that is not just the bag. You say you don't want to work. You don't work, you don't eat. You don't want to work even to build something. You just want to be able to stay home and hang out with your girlfriends who are working. So you want to do what all day until you want to work out, you want to wait until your girlfriends get off at 5 and then go and hang out with them. And what about the man who comes home at the end of the day? Because if you're waiting to hang out with your girlfriends until they get off from work, when you're not working, you're just going to the gym during the day, none of that makes sense. None of that is conducive for success. It's just you've got Hollywood dreams, but no foundation. It's completely different for a woman who gets married, has children, and is home taking care of her children for a couple of years. You and your husband have been saving money, you've been preparing for this. You don't want to spend your life chasing a bag, going from one relationship to the other because you don't want to work. Because you've got this illusion that if I can stay at home, work out, look good, beauty is fleeting. You know what it means when it says fleeting? It's gradually passing away. It's leaving you over time. You're 29 now, you say. So you just want to stay at home and work out. You went to college. You want to stay at home now and work out because you've been working for the last 8 years, right? 21, you're 29 now. That's only 8 years of your life that you've been working. And now suddenly you say you don't want to have to work. The men you're meeting, they're just like you. They're working every day. The idea is to build for the future. The idea is to ensure that every single day you're working to build for the future. You're living in the present. And, society's come up with a lot of different cliches to get people off track. And, you don't even want hot girl summer. You want hot girl year. You just want to work out, stay in shape, and have someone take care of you. How's that working for you? You haven't even met someone who makes enough money to do that. They may be making money, but if they're single and making money and they're living a good quality of life, not a great quality of life, but a good quality of life, and they may not even be doing that, but let's say that they're financially able to enjoy where they are right now. That's not maximizing your success. That's just laying a foundation to build wealth upon, if you're going to build wealth. And this concept of just hanging out and partying and traveling and, that's an illusion. When the Bible tells us if we don't work, we don't eat. If we don't keep working to maximize our success, it's not even just about eating now, it's about building wealth for the future. And not just for yourself, but someday for your children and maybe your philanthropic interests. This is all about building a better society. This is not just about hanging out, being the hot girl. And that won't last. You can work out all you want. Every day you could work out 3 hours a day, every day. And sooner or later, you're not going to look the same as you do today. You've got to realize the importance of building for the future, building together for the future. That's the reality of life. Building on a foundation that's going to be sustainable, that will allow you to someday you'll be able to have a family, not only provide for your family, but build for the future of your family, and to pursue whatever charitable or philanthropic interest you may have. Now, I know there's people out there right now saying, well, I don't have any interest in doing anything else. Well, only what you do for the Lord's going to last. So only what you do from a charitable and philanthropic endeavor is going to last. Those are the ways to impact the society we live in. And our goal for each of us should be, the goal for each of us really should be to make certain that the world is a better place when we depart than it was when we came in. Got to find a way to do that. And if you can do that, life will be complete. Someday it will be complete. Life here on earth will someday be complete. If you can find a way to have even the smallest of impact on society that will leave society better than when you arrived, you've done your part. Now, nobody talks about this because, there are people who talk about it. When I say nobody, meaning that's not a constant conversation for most people, because most people are too busy just trying to enjoy themselves. I want to have fun. I want to have a good time. I want to. Well, how about I'm responsible for making the world, our society, a better place to live for the generations to come, even in the smallest way. If you can have that kind of impact, that society is going to be better today, better in the future than it is today, you've done your part. You've become an active member of society. That's what God has assigned for each and every one of us to do. You've got to maximize your career. You're 8 years into your career. You've got to maximize your career. Focus on that. Don't focus on trying to find a man who makes enough money to take care of you. To do that for you. Because that's not going to allow you to maximize your quality of life. That will not allow you to experience the fullness of God. Today's Daily Divine Direction broadcast, 3D, has been brought to you by Fiji Water. A taste of paradise will be delivered right